This is Mabel Daugherty, and I am the grandmother of 15 grandchildren. This is a Weiniger Daugherty family album. It's from 1907 to 1964. And this day is the day of inauguration for Bill Clinton. And it is January the 20th, 1993. This picture is great-grandpa Daugherty and his wife, Granny Mariah. And they are in California, Long Beach, and they make rose beads. And that's what they're doing in the picture, is making the rose beads. This is a tin-type picture of Grandpa Belvey and his wife, Grandma Mary. And I don't know where it was taken, but I think it was when they were first married. This is Grandma Mary Daugherty, and she was a beautiful woman. She had the body of a model, perfect in every respect. This is Grandpa Belvey Daugherty, and he was a much younger man than what I ever knew him, and he had a fuller face and was rather nice looking, always wore a mustache. This is Grandpa Powell and his wife, Granny Becky, and I think it is a daughter-in-law with them, one of the doctor's wives. And it was taken probably in Powell Valley, and that was Grandma Mary Daugherty's mom and dad. This is John Michael Daugherty, and he's not very old there, but he's never changed his looks. From an older person, he always looked just like that little picture there. This is little Becky Daugherty. That's John Daugherty's baby sister. She died when she was 9 months old, and on Red Quarry, where they lived. This is a picture of taken years and years and years ago, and that first one there is Aunt Almy Powell, Uncle Everett's wife, and the next one is Uncle John Powell, the doctor's wife. And Aunt Jane is one that has a little top knot on her head, and then the next one on the end is Granny Becky. And she is the mother of Aunt Jane, and the others are her in-laws. And she is part of Mary Daugherty's family. I don't know who the dog is, have no idea. And there's a child there, and I don't know for sure who he is. I don't know if it's probably John Penley. I'm not sure. This is a picture of the Powell Valley house where I went when I was first married. This was in the process of building it. And I don't know who the people are there except Ed Hopper, probably, because he built the house. And I don't know who the rest of them are, but it was the home. This is Granny Becky in the front row with the dust cap on. Grandma Mary holding Delbert Walls. And in standing is May Jones, and then Nevy Walls. Nevy was the mother of Delbert Walls, and this is a 5-generation picture. Grandma Mary is holding Vance Daugherty, and the little boy with the little cap on sitting beside her is Marvin Daugherty, and she's holding Dean Walls, and Delbert Walls is at her side there. I don't know what that is in front, but It is a picture of her and her two grandchildren and two great-grandchildren. Dean Walls and Delbert Walls were her great-grandchildren. Vance and Marvin Daugherty were her grandchildren. Grandpa Belvey standing in the back. Next to him is Grandma Mary Daugherty, and next to her is May, their oldest daughter, and then Aunt Zori is next, and then Aunt Lily is there on the end, and sitting down is Charlie Daugherty in front of Grandpa, and then John Daugherty in front of Aunt May. And it was taken on Red Quarry, the old home place, Grandpa's old home place. This is James Thomas Weininger, and he's the father of Mama Mabel Daugherty. And he didn't live to be only about 34 years old when he passed away. But he was really handsome and really a fine daddy. He died in 1919 when the influenza just came here from World War I. And we all had the flu, but he didn't make it. He passed away on the 5th day of February. In 1919 was when the flu came from overseas. It was called influenza at that time. One family had 2 children to die the same night with the same disease. Another one died, and then this fellow's, George Anderson's mother died, and he lost 4 out of that family with the same disease that Jim had. Very pitiful time at that time. This is James Weininger again, and he's 2 brothers. The one with the ball bat is Raleigh Weininger, and one on the other side is Roy Weininger. They are all brothers. James Weininger stayed around in this part of the country, but Roy and Raleigh went to Lafayette, and that's where they raised their children. That's where they got the jobs in machine shops, and that's where they raised their children. But they were all loved each other very much, a lovely family. This is James Thomas Weininger again, Mama Mabel's father, and he is the small one, and the tall one is Nathan Allen. And they are building the golf links for the hotel in West Baden that's been such a famous hotel all through the years. The round top, and this is up on the hill, high up on the hill. And at that time we lived near the hotel. This is Mabel and Velmy Weininger. Velmy is the tallest one, and is taken up there by the West Baden famous hotel. And we could play on that hillside. We could play among the flowers and the grass as long as we didn't pick the flowers, and we really did have good times there. This is Mabel and Velmy Weininger, and it's close, another picture taken close to the hotel, and the nice big flowers that we had for a background. And I was a little bit angry there because I had an umbrella and it was pink. Velmy's umbrella was green and beige. And she put her hand over on my umbrella, and I didn't like it. And it shows in my picture. This picture was taken about 6 months after our daddy died, Jim Weininger. And we were at a 4th of July celebration, and the tallest girl is my sister Velmy, and the other one is me. Then the little girl is Violet, and the baby is Ralph. And it was Mary Weininger at the time. That was before she was married again. And we were all still in shock over our daddy's death, her husband's death. And that is taken in the park over from the hotel, and the bicycle track is in the back. You can see part of that. It's tore down now, and it's altogether a different looking place. This is Mabel Weininger Daugherty. Now, Mama of them 15 grandchildren. And she was a teenager at that time, and that flowered coat she had on was the rage of everybody. Everybody had to have a flowered coat, and they wear them yet today sometimes. This is another one of Mabel Daugherty's teenage pictures. It's kind of sad looking, but then she was pretty happy at the time. This is another teenage picture of Mabel Daugherty, and it was her girlfriend that was with her, Cordy Quinn, and she was about 2 years older, but in school we were good buddies. This is Naoma Moore, Uncle Ellis Moore's wife, second wife, and the middle one is Nori Quinn, and the one that's halfway laying down is Mama Mabel in her teenage. And they were just out traveling around to Jackson Rock or someplace that day, and Ruth Moore took the picture. This is John Daugherty, Papa John, and Mama Mabel before they were married. They only had 2 or 3 dates at that time. It was taken on a Sunday afternoon down by Buck Creek. And John had come all dressed up, and he was going to work on somebody's car that afternoon, so he brought an old pair of overalls with him, and somebody snapped our pictures. This is Grandpa Harley Quackenbush, and he was Grandma Mary's daddy. And he had been to the crib and got armload of corn to take to shelf for the chickens. That was part of his job because he was a farmer. He was so good to us after our daddy died. Never was cross to us or anything, tried to make us happy, and we loved him very much. The lady sitting down is Mary Weininger, Mary Qualtenbush Weininger Roach. And that is her daddy, Harley Qualtenbush, sitting there by her. And standing in the back is her husband, Paul Roach, which is Mama Mabel Daugherty's stepdad. And the lady standing by him is Laura Qualkenbush. That is Grandpa Qualkenbush, is Grandpa Harley's third wife. And they were all good friends and having a good time that day. But Grandma Qualkenbush, Mary's mother, had been dead for several years when Grandpa married, second and then third time. This is Marvin Daugherty when he was a little baby, and Louise Roach is on the other side. There's just a few weeks difference in their ages. And Marvin is the one that's the darkest, with the darkest face, because he was dark complected, and Louise was real white. And this was about some of the first pictures that both of them had taken. This is Mama Mabel and Papa John Daugherty, and with son number 1, Marvin Daugherty, was taken in Powell Valley. This is Papa John Daugherty with son Marvin, and I got to list a little bit disgusted because I wanted father and son to have a nice picture taken together, and when I got ready to snap it, he grabbed Joe Walsh's old dog. So that's the story of this picture. This is Marvin Daugherty. He was around 4 years old. And in the big rocking chair there is Vance, and he's a little baby. You can hardly see him. He has got a little white cap on, and he was lying on a white blanket, light colored blanket, so it's hard to see him, but he was there. This Marvin in his little red wagon was taken in French Lick, the back of Monon Street, which is Larry Bird Street now. This is little 2-year-old Marvin again, taken at about the same place, and taken in front of our little house that we lived in. He was a beautiful child. This is 4-year-old Marvin in his little Indian suit that he likes so well, and he loved his tricycle, and it was taken in Powell Valley. And that tricycle was partly of what was in the oak tree out here, the running gears of it. Tree's cut down now and gone. This is 2-year-old Marvin as we lived on Monon Street, and we went over to the hotel, Springs Hotel, French Lick, and in the gardens is where this picture was taken. I'm wearing my flapper hat. I think Aunt Almy Kirby gave that to me, and I really did like it. It was flapper time along about then, and I like to wear that hat. This was Marvin when he was about 16 or 18 months old, and we went to visit Ethel and Leo, and just off of Maple Street there, and Ethel took our picture, and I always appreciated it so much. He was so cute at that time, and he still is cute. This is John and 2-year-old Marvin, and it is faded quite a bit, but yet it's daddy and son, and it was taken, well, I'm not sure where. The background doesn't look right, but it might have been Powell Valley. This is a black lady by the name of Mistress Smith. She lived across the road from where we lived there on back of Monon Avenue, and she would come and bring scraps of feed, scraps from the table, to feed Miss Livingood's chickens. That was close to our house, and Marvin was only 2 years old, and one day he kept crying and crying and crying, and she said, "What's the matter with him?" And I told her I didn't know, but I lied, because he was wanting to kiss her at all time. He was wanting to kiss her, and I wouldn't let him kiss her. Marvin, the school picture, he's beginning to grow up a little bit now and get into a little bit of meanness along, but not so much, but what I could control him real well. Another picture of Marvin, and this is a school picture too, and he's real cute in his bib overalls, and he's grown up now about a year or two, so he's getting to be a big boy now. Marvin's still wearing his bib overalls, but he's grown up a little more now. Next year or two, he'll be a big boy one of these days. This picture was taken over on Doc Dillinger's farm when we lived over there, and that first little blonde-haired boy is Don Wyman, and the one standing by him is his brother Carl. And the one standing by him is Vance Daugherty, and the tall one behind him is Marvin Daugherty. The girl by Marvin is Mabel Wyman, and she has got her hand on little Joanne's shoulder, and little baby Glenda's 2 years old with the dark hair standing in front. Is a very exciting time for all of us. And the kids played, never have a fight, played all the time. Vance and Carl were very good friends. Would be yet today if they could be with each other. There's 5 Daugherty kids now. Marvin, the tall one in the back, Vance beside his side, Joanne, the tall girl, in front of Marvin, a little Glenda in front of Vance, and baby Keith sitting in his chair. There's 5 of them, and they're all doing well at the little old home on Red Quarry. Here was Marvin and Vance. Marvin's on the stilts. They had the wide open spaces, and they did what they wanted to do. They was over these hills and valleys, playing cowboys and Indians with their friends, and they grew up having a very good time. This is Marvin and Vance with their little lunch buckets and ready to go to school. They're on their way to school, and they're going out past Grandpa Daugherty's house and across the hill to Red Quarry School. Vance loved his cap with the bill. Marvin liked his aviator cap, so that's what they have on. And they wouldn't wear each other's caps because they had their own that they liked. Marvin liked to play golf, but he caddied all the time and made extra money, so he learned to be a pretty good golfer. So that's been part of his life during his older years, is playing golf once in a while. Marvin's a big boy now. He's on the concrete block, but we're getting ready to build something. I don't really know what it is, but then anyway, he might have his army clothes on. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a pretty good picture of him. Marvin's in the Army now. He was drafted when he was 18 years old, just barely was 18 years old. And he didn't want to go because his mother was going to get a new baby, and he wanted to be here. But he had to go ahead and go because of World War I, and it was a terrible thing that was going on over there. So I asked him to be deferred. He could have, because he worked at Crane. But he said, no, my buddies are going, and I'm no better than them. I'm going too. So he did. And thank the Lord he came back. This is Marvin when he was in the service, and his buddy was Leon, and they both played guitar, and Marvin was really loved the guitar at that time. We sent it to him through mail, his guitar, and they played music together in different places, and it was in Kansas, Fort Raleigh, Kansas. This is a good picture of Marvin, but he was not dating either one of those girls. The one on his right was Ed Stroud's wife, and I don't know who the other one was, but then they were just happened to be there at the time somebody took the picture. Marvin Vance brothers, good old buddies too. Oh, they'd fist fight a little bit once in a while when they were little, but when they got big, there was a lot of love there between them, and is yet this day too. And that's been years ago. Marvin is in his teens now, and he's a big boy, and I think he's trying to sport a little mustache, but that's okay, Marvin. You deserve it. This is a plane that Marvin flew when he was at Shoals, when the airport was at Shoals, and he flew night and day, and for 2 years he was in that airplane or another one, and he loved them airplanes, and he would yet today if he could fly. He doesn't fly no more, but he had a high old time flying through the sun, through the dark, through the rain. Didn't make any difference. Marvin and Donna are married there, and this is taken Marvin's car down in front of the house at Prospect, a place that we used to live. We lived there for 10 years and loved every bit of it. Most of us did. Anyway, it was just about the time they were first married. This is Marvin and Vance after we moved back to Powell Valley, as after we lived in town where Vance was born, and their daddy got sick. We had to go back to Powell Valley and live Grandma's house. And the picture was taken about a year after we went back down there. And Vance was crying. He didn't want to stand there. He didn't want Marvin to hold him, so he was crying about it. But I think it's cute anyhow. This is Marvin and Vance and their little dog Mickey standing in between them, and they're sitting on a bench where Grandpa used to put vegetables and clean his onions and get them ready to take to town. And Vance is bending over there from the dog, and I think Marvin's enjoying every bit of it. But it's taken out to Grandpa's old place out there, his little old house that he used to live in. There's Marvin and Vance and their little sisters, little Joanne and little Glenda. I don't know where it's taken, but I think it's right here on Red Quarry Road. This is Gordy Vance in his early school days. I think it's his school picture. And he has on his little bib overalls too. That's what the little boys all wore back then. And he is doing okay, but I'm sure he was in school. Here Vance is again, and he has with his bib overalls, and their shirts. I made them on my old Singer sewing machine. It used to belong to Granny Becky, and they did just as well as if I had bought them at the store. Here they are having their ice cream cones, and little Glenda, her ice cream cone's almost big as she is, and Joanne and Vance has his, but Marvin wasn't along, so he didn't get any. Bless his little heart. We'll get him one the next time. This is Gordon Vance Daugherty, and he was just about the time we lived down there behind old Jumpin' Jack's place. I remember that little sweater so well. He had airplanes on it for pockets. There was a pocket on each side, and it was made into an airplane, but there was an opening there. And I think he was born with the airplane, the way it all went anyhow. Anyway, he loved his airplanes and still does. This is one of the classes at Red Quarry School. The first girl is Jean Beatty and Vance Daugherty, Donna Kirby, and Dale Howell, and a Dorset girl, and a Dorset boy. I think I got them all right. This is Vance Daugherty, and he's being baptized by John Casey. I don't know exactly how old Vance is there, but anyway, it was down by the Willie Carnes Bridge, down by the farm. This is Vance, and he's in his early teens, but he's having his picture taken with his mommy Mabel. Vance attended the Christian Service Summer Camp, and it was up there by Columbus. And John Casey should be in there somewhere. I don't know which one is him. There's Vance on it with his basketball. He really loved to play basketball, and he has really got a nice looking leg out there. Some of the people said they liked to go watch Vance play basketball because he had such pretty legs. Ha ha. Well, that's a real handsome picture. That was when he was graduating from high school, and he was really a happy boy because he knew he was going to the Air Force. But he was going to college first and get some education and then go on to Air Force, which he did. There's Vance as he went to Franklin College, running across country. He came in first, and he was pretty tired, but he made her. He made her before anybody else did. There's another picture from Franklin College, and that's where he spent 2.5 years before he went into the Air Force, became a pilot. There's that same picture again, and I'm not really sure which one is Vance, but he'll know whenever he gets it. Whenever he gets to see these pictures, he'll know which one is him. This is a P-51 plane, and this was one of the first ones that Vance got to fly before he went into the faster kind of planes, the jets. This was when Vance first started flying the planes, and this is from Bartow, Florida. He wanted to take us down there when he graduated from Air Force in Montgomery, our airport in Montgomery, but we didn't get down there. We were crowded in the car, so we just come back home. Here Vance is on his wedding day. He found this pretty girl in Selma, Alabama. He had to have her, so he brought her back, went to Red Quarry Church, and married her on the 12th day of July. And they've been together ever since. Well, here they are again, and they both look very happy. I'm sure they were that day. There was quite a few people there, and we all enjoyed them. They took off for Wichita, Kansas, right after they went prospected our home and changed clothes. And they couldn't hardly get away at all on account of so many friends coming in to wish them well. Here's little Joanne and Glenda, and they have with their little baby brother, Keith. And I think that is taken downtown on there by the Catholic Church on that ledge along there. And they thought so much of their little brother. Red Quarry Church, Red Quarry School again. That's Patsy Pennig, and Patsy lives in California now. And the boy, I'm not sure if it's a Weininger boy or a Dorset boy, but anyway, the third one there is Joanne. Well, we were building a new room onto our house, and Joanne was in her teens then, and we decided with her that that'd be a good place to take a picture before we put the windows in. And that's the one that on the south side of the house, the room on the south side of the house. This is what I always call my stair steps. Little baby Keith, little dark-headed Glenda, next Joanne, then Vance, then Marvin. And Barbara wasn't here yet, or she would have been a step in front of Keith. Well, here's another picture of baby Keith and his little first cousin, Dolores Roach. That's Earl and Mamie's little girl. And then little Glenda and Joanne, the big girl. Well, this is another picture of Red Quarry School. And I think that first girl is Norma Kirby. The next one's Pat Pinnick and Joanne Daugherty. And I think the little guy is Dale Howe. I'm not real sure, but it was Joanne's friends, anyhow, and her schoolmates. And I know she appreciates this picture. Joanna has her picture taken with standing beside her Aunt Violet. And that's Glenda and Keith in front of them. It's taken on Red Quarry. Violet used to come to our house a lot. Joanne used to go to her house some. This is taken in front of Harry and Almy's house over there, Kirby's over there on the other side of Red Quarry. And John had taken us all fishing, the girls and the little kids and Keith. So when we came back, we were going to take a picture. And Norma and Donna and Joanne, they all got into a quarrel who was going to hold Keith. So I just handed Keith to Glenda. And that's all she can do is stand there and hold him. So there wasn't any more said about it. Holding him. Joanne is being baptized by John Casey. And it's the big watering hole where the kids used to go swimming down there, Willie Carnes' place. And over on the other side is a child. I don't know who it is, but it's May Carnes standing there waiting for Joanne to walk out. This is a picture of our company on one Sunday afternoon. And Joanne had her cousins there. And her uncle Leon, he's the one standing in the middle behind. And her first cousin Jimmy is standing behind her. And Vance on the other side. Marilyn Ruth Quinn is on the other side and Glenda in the middle. There were good old days when we all got together. Joanne's a big teenage girl now, and she liked dogs, and Boots was one of her favorites, and Boots liked her very well too. We lived in Prospect, and that's part of the old Prospect house that we used to live in. Good times, many good times were held there. Joanne's really a grown-up girl now. She had on her brand new corduroy skirt, and I think it was a beige color. Don't know what the color of the blouse, but I do remember the skirt. The short skirt was out, and the new was coming. The long ones were coming in. She had to have one, and then she got several more after that. There's another picture, just like the other one, except you can see her long skirt, and that was the style, and it hit hard. Every girl had to have a long skirt in school, and she felt real proud that she had one. Joanne, in her high school play, I should know who they all are, but I won't try to tell them because I might get them wrong. But anyway, it was a good play. We enjoyed it very much, her daddy and I. Here Joanne is a teenager, and probably she's having dates and too bashful to go out and eat supper or dinner with them. But she would go to a movie once in a while, but she didn't care much for the boys. They liked her, though. Well, Joanne's finally got through high school now. She didn't have much trouble, though. She got to march with Zane Waniger. They're good friends yet today. They see each other maybe at the Pumpkin Festival or something like that. But he was a nice boy, and she was proud to get to walk with him. She's at the Gulf of Mexico now, and with her beautiful bathing suit on. And Joanne, you know what? You gave a mint for that back in those days, but then you really look lovely. I'm sure this is a school picture of Joanne, but I don't know what year it is, and it isn't her graduation picture. But anyway, she looks good in it, and it has to be one of our favorites. Well, this is Joanne getting married to Norman Ward, and Trevor Pinnick is saying this, giving the ceremony, and I'm not real sure who those girls are with her, but anyway, I'll have to figure that one out. I guess she'll know. And they're still together. Still together, and they better be too. Ready? This is Glenda Maxine when she was a little baby, and she's got a brown spot on her head. I'm not sure whether it's her hair or whether it was where she got up against the stove and scorched her forehead a little bit. But anyway, she was a sweet little round-faced baby. This is Grandpa Mabel Daugherty with Glenda when she was a baby. He thought an awfully lot of her. This is another picture of Grandpa Mabel Daugherty with little granddaughter Glenda. And she got to a place where she wouldn't eat. And she wanted her mother's breast milk. And my mother told me it was my fault because she wouldn't eat, because she'd eat for her. So I weaned her and put her on cow's milk and food, other kind of food, and she did fine. This is Glenda sitting on the little wagon with her sister Joanne and Grandpa's dog Bob. He always loved the little children, and he would come up to them. We could always tell from here when Grandpa was playing these violin because old Bob would howl. He'd howl, and we'd know Grandpa was playing his violin. This is Glenda. She was getting to be a little bit bigger now, and she's with her big brother Vance and sister Joanne. And I think this was taken down by the Elite, the gambling place down there in French Lake. I'm not sure where this was taken, but Glenda is standing beside her big sister Joanne. They play together real good with their little scissors, coloring crayons and everything. And they're still live so far apart, but then they still get in touch. This is Red Quarry School. Had several pupils right at that particular time. May Carnes was a teacher, and Glenda is standing in the front row, third from the left, and her sister Joanne, big sister, is standing behind her. And the rest of the children, I know their names, but I can't tell exactly which one's which. Another picture of the Red Quarry School, and that is Glenda, the only little girl in the class. And those are her classmates. And notice her white boots. She loved her little white boots and wore them an awfully lot. This is Glenda, still wearing her little white boots, and she was a neat little fixin', all right. Dark curly hair. I can't remember just how old she is, but I know she's in school. This is taken, pictures taken down to Prospect, where we all love to live. Keithy's got his little bib overalls on, and Glenda is proud to stand there by her little brother and help look after him and take care of him. Another picture of Glennie Maxine. She's up in school, but I don't know what grade she would be in at this time. But she's doing all right. I know that because she always was good to study. This is Glenda when she was 12 years old, and her older brother Vance was going to Franklin College. He took that picture back with him. And all the guys that seen it said, "Oh, I want a date with her. Give me a date with your sister Glenda." He said, "I can't," said she wouldn't go with you. Said she's only 12 years old. And they said, "Oh, shoot." It's Glenda, since she's growing up to be a big girl now, and she's sitting on her daddy's school bus and looking very smug. This is Glenda, and I'm not real sure where it's taken, but I think it's taken at Spring Mill Park. It looks like the background there of the Spring Mill Park, because they used to go there so much, all of our children did. That was a place to go and get in the sand. This is a picture of Glenda in her teens, but I don't know where it's taken. We're trying to figure that out, but we don't know. She'll know, though, probably. This is Glenda and Margie Goldman. Now, that was taken down to Prospect when we lived there. And that tree in the background is where Keith fell and broke his arm. This is Glenda, and I think she is in Bloomington. I can't remember the place that she was, but the school sent her there, or some of the people in town. I don't know for sure, but she'll know. This is Glenda's senior picture. She's getting to be way up on the totem pole now, and she'll be going into doing something else pretty soon. In 1954, Glenda graduated from high school, and the picture was taken out here on Red Quarry after we'd lived 8 years at Prospect. Come back for 2 years, and this is when she graduated, the spring she graduated. This is where Glenda is getting ready to go meet Russell at the altar, and her daddy is walking her down the aisle. She's a very happy girl, and it always hurt her daddy to give her up and Joanne and the girls, but he knew they were getting good husbands, and so he had to let them go. That was their choice. Here is Glenda with her cake, but first of all, a brand new husband, Russell Hall. And boy, are they ever a couple. Good luck, guys. Here is little Keithy, and sitting on his big sister Joanne's lap. Glenda's on the other side, and Marilyn Ruth Quint is on the other side. All little children together and proud of that little baby brother. I'm not right sure what age Keith is there, but I'm sure he's in school, and he has on a handsome shirt. I don't think I made that one, but it's a good picture of him. Keith with his little sister Barbara, and I think they've been in the water. Anyway, Keith's hair's wet, but hers isn't, so I guess she didn't dive in. Barbara's got a pretty little hairdo there, and it's real cute, and Keith would have if he had hair, but at that time all little boys wore burrs, and of course Keith had one too. There's Keith in his Boy Scout outfit with his dog Boots, and she was always with us, that little dog was, and Keith loved the Boy Scouts. This picture was taken back of the Red Quarry house next to the woods. That's okay, she didn't care. This is Keith with on the Red Quarry yard with his dog Boots, and the house back there, it belonged to Margaret and Tom, but that dog to me looks like a pig, but it's Boots. So this is Keith, and that picture was taken down Prospect. I don't know what he has in his hand. Looks like a lunch bucket, and maybe it is, but you can see the Pierce house up on the hill, and it is that road that goes up to Homer's store. Keith, looks like you've grown quite a bit, but now you've still got a burr haircut, so I guess that was still the fashion. Keith's getting bigger every day, and that's his bicycle, and did he ever love it. I think he's got the back wheel all trimmed up with something. It's taken on Red Quarry. Keith with his little sister Barbara, and that's taken on Red Quarry in the yard out. And that's when they caught the school bus every morning for about so many years there. Keith, you're getting to be a pretty good-sized boy now, in your teens, I think, wearing glasses and probably thinking about the girls. I don't know really where this picture is taken with Keith and Margie, but it could be at Daugherty. Glenda and Russell lived down there then, and it's possible it could have been there. Keith, we've missed out on some of your baby pictures, so we're starting it again and taking what we didn't get a while ago. And you're getting kind of heavy now because Joanne can't hardly hold you. There is where Tom Mabel was building us a new porch, and Keith was out there, had watched him. Tom stepped out of the way, and Keith hugged the post, and I took his picture. This was taken down there in Harmontown, that old man, I forget his name, Crutchfield, I believe, and Keith was just about 3 years old then, right after Barbara was born, but he was a fine-looking little fellow. Keith was just a little boy then, and I'm sure I set him up there myself. He didn't climb up there. And but I thought it was a cute way to take his picture. Taken out here on our back porch, little porch we had years ago. Keith's about 4 years old. This is in the front yard of the Red Quarry home, and he's giving his little baby sister, Barbara, a bath. Keith with his big sister Joanne. Don't know where this was taken, but it was a pretty good picture. Marvin being in the service, he come home on furlough, and always had his guitar with him, and he let Keith hold the guitar while I took their picture. There's Keith with his little dog, and I don't know what that dog's name was, but he was white all over except his head and his face, and he was black as coal. He was a funny looking little dog. But he was Keith's pet. There's Keith with his little baby sister Barbara, and that was taken down in front of the Catholic Church down in French Lake. And he was holding on to her for dear life. Keith down in front of the Catholic Church again along the wall, and it was a mighty fine place to sit and take pictures. Keith with his little sister Barbara, with her kitty cat, on the down on the old well top down there at Prospect. This is the rhythm band that the school Keith went to, and he is in that picture. Well, there is Keith in that rhythm band, and you can see him on the front row there, and with his name down at the bottom. He was really a cute little guy in there. There's Keith at the evening that he graduated that night, and is standing in front of our pretty house down there at Prospect. And Vance had just come home from Germany. He was there that night, and we were all so proud of him because he was graduating. Well, Keith, you're finally graduated, getting ready to graduate there, and you had a nice little hair top on top of your head, and you look real sharp. We were proud of you. This picture of Glenda, or Barbara and myself, and I think it was at Crutchfield's home, and I think she was 3 weeks old. This was John. He has a very serious look on his face, but he was holding baby Barbara up with her swing. He was just holding it up with his hand, and he has a very serious look. Another picture of Keith with his little baby sister with her big brother, and it was taken down in French Lake too on the boulevard. No, it wasn't either. It was in front of the Catholic Church. This picture of little 2-year-old Barbara with her kitty cat, and it's taken on the old pump top down, well top down at the Prospect home. There was Barbara in her little car. I just can't remember what color that car was, but she certainly did like it. One of our friends got that for her, and she was really proud of that little car. Picture of Barbara with her brother Keith on their daddy's school bus. That's taken at Prospect, the house that we used to live in. There's Barbara and Keith with their dog Boots on the road that went past the side of the house down there at Prospect. Boots was always with them. Well, Barbara, I don't know how old you are there, but you thought you needed glasses, and the doctor said you could have some if you wanted some. So we got them for you, and they are blue plaid, and you really like to wear them till you get tired of them. This picture was taken down at Prospect on the side of the George Knight property. And Barbara, you've grown up a little there. Well, Barbara, you're on a bicycle, and I don't remember whether it's yours or belongs to somebody else, but I do believe it's yours. And I know if it is, you really enjoy riding it. It's taking a Prospect, I think. I'm not real sure. Well, this is a real winter day, and the kids have their sleds. Barbara and Keith have their sleds, and I know they are having a good time, and I think it's on the Red Quarry Hill. Barbara, you know how old you were and what grade you were in and all, but I can't quite understand some of the things myself, but you'll know. Well, she's a seventh grade cheerleader there, and she had on her black and white. The schools had emerged, and she had on black and white and was real proud of it. Barbara, but you're beginning to learn how to strut there, and feeling pretty important, I think. Barbara with her friend Rita Marshall, they had their batons, and they were learning how to twirl, and were really good friends. Well, Barbara, there's where you were preparing for the show in the French Lick Centennial. It was a big event, one of the biggest events I've ever seen in French Lick, and you were a part of it, and I was proud of you. Well, Barbara, I don't know, you must have been about 12 years old, 13 maybe, and begin to like the boys a little bit, especially Jerry Reedlove. Ha ha. This picture was taken at Ileana. I don't know very much of the details about that picture, but Barbara will know. That's a picture of the Prospect house that we lived in, and I always liked so well to sit on that porch. We all loved that porch. It was big, and we kept the house painted pretty all the time and the porch painted, and really enjoyed living there. Well, this was prom night, and we're still living in Prospect. And Barbara and Larry Hughes was her date, and Keith and Margie. They're all ready to go. Well, Barbara, you were waiting there for your date to come to take you to the prom, and you were sitting on the edge of your bed and getting yourself all fixed up for the prom. Well, Barbara, this was in one of your heydays, you know, and you liked to twirl, and you did a lot of twirling at that time. Something to remember. The wild plum are in bloom, and I think it was Easter. I think she had corsage on, probably that Vance sent her, all ready to go to church. This was on graduation day, and caps and gowns. I don't know why they weren't white, but I think hers must have been gray. But anyway, she graduated and went on to college later in life. Well, this is graduation picture, and it's one of the last of the children to graduate. And next thing will be getting married. Me, Papa John taking you down the aisle to meet your husband Jim to be married to him. There is the wedding party, and it was all over in just in a little bit. There was the rhythm band that Barbara was in, and the theme was Hawaiian Girls, and she was one of the dancers. Barbara, there you are, and you've come a long way since you first started your baton lessons. And you were a leader there for the band, and it was great to get out and watch you. And then you've got farther to go yet, but you're doing good there. So, this is after the wedding, and Jim and Barbara are standing in the middle, and on the right is Barbara's mom and dad, Mabel and John Daugherty, and on the left is Marie and Jim Sr. Cornett. Well, the wedding's over now, and the cake is to be cut, and everybody's in the basement at Red Quarry Church, and to have a big fun time now since the wedding is over.